Hello everyone, and here we are, ready to define our terms from Vocabulary Unit 17. Okay, so let's just run down the line. You've probably heard the expression metaphor 1,000 times, and we know that it is a comparison, not using like or as. Whoops. If we think about it in terms of the first act from The Tempest, we know that Prospero talks about Antonio and he says, "He was the ivy that hid my princely trunk and sucked the verdure out of it." He compares Antonio as this to being this ivy that takes the life's blood from him. If you have a little doggy that nips at your heels, it means to sort of bite sharply, or to pinch, or to squeeze. When something is noisome, it has nothing to do with sound, so don't try to break it down into pieces because it doesn't really work. Something that's noisome is something that is foul-smelling, something that is unwholesome. For example, Tom Walker's wife's liver and heart being tied up in the apron probably created a sort of noisome aroma. Something that's notable is worthy of attention. It was a notable achievement. And sometimes the novelty of certain things begins to wear off. The newness of it, the freshness of it, the originality of it. In Pygmalion, there is a point at which Higgins feels that the novelty of training Eliza has sort of worn off. If someone is a novice at something, as Miranda is a novice at love, that person is a beginner. Nuptials are wedding ceremonies or anything concerning marriage. If you think about it, the noblemen are on their way back from the nuptials of Claribel and the King of Tunis. To nurture is to develop or to nourish. There's always that question of nurture versus nature. What should we do with Caliban? Is he a product of just the evil natural man, or is he pure and innocent like the noble savage? How do we become who we are? Through nurture or through genetics, nature? Okay. We have two words that mean the same thing here: obdurate and obstinate. They both mean stubborn. You can think of Achilles being very obdurate or obstinate when it comes to refusing to rejoin the army, even after he's been given the return of his concubine Briseis. If something is oblique, it is slanting, it is deviating from a straight line. On your body you have obliques as an abdominal muscle. They're on the slant, they're on the side, so deviating from the straight line. If you are oblivious to something, you've heard that expression before, it means you are unaware. You are totally ignorant and unconcerned or not clued in. For example, Mona Giovanna is oblivious to the fact that she's eating the falcon she has come to secure. When something is obscure, it's not easily understood. The meaning of something could be obscure. It's kind of hidden. It's kind of cloudy. It's kind of shadowy if it's obscure. Sometimes the songs that are sung by Ariel are a bit obscure. Or even what's going on in occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge could be a bit obscure. When someone is being obsequious, they're being falsely attentive, like they're being a kiss up, if you will, a brown nose. So being obsequious is meaning to be slavishly attentive. Like you're trying to flatter someone and you really have ulterior motives. You're being a sycophantic. Like the Grinch when he's talking to little Mary Lou Who. I'll just take it from here, fix it up there, and bring it back here, right? When something is odious or a person is odious, it means that they are hateful. Like Antonio. Oh, that a brother could be so perfidious is the word that Prospero uses, but odious would work too. And then we can use this one, even though noisome meant foul-smelling, odorous means having an odor too. It could be good or bad. A lot of times it's bad. Because otherwise you'd probably say fragrant, right? Okay, and here's our last set. To be on the offensive, or to be on the offensive is to be on the attack. We can use that in military terms or in athletic terms too. But if a remark is offensive, it is insulting. It is disrespectful. At times, the words of Antonio and Sebastian are offensive to other characters. For example, they have offensive words or insulting words to the boatswain, and then later to Gonzalo. When someone is officious, it's like they're a nosy buddy. They're a little too meddlesome. That kind of person that's constantly following you around the store and excessively trying to please. How may I help you? Would you like to look at something? And I know that they're trying to be helpful, but sometimes it seems a bit officious, excessively trying to please. When something is ominous, it's threatening. So when it's storming, you might say that it's a perfect setting for a horror movie, for example. When someone is omnipotent, they're all-powerful. I would say that Prospero seems to be omnipotent, but he's not. He can lead Miranda and Ferdinand to see one another, but he can't necessarily force them to fall in love. When we say the onset of war, we're saying the start of war, the beginning of it, at the onset of the play. You can also use the word onset for an attack as well. When something is opportune, it is auspicious. It is timely. It is well chosen. For example, that's what Prospero says to Miranda, that it was an auspicious time for him to send the storm because it would bring all of his enemies to the shoreline. It was an opportune moment. And lastly, an orator is a speaker. We know that somebody like Patrick Henry, one of our revolutionary founding fathers, was a great orator, a great speaker, as was Emerson too, on a different time period. Okay, there you go. Those are the words for Unit 17.